case you hadn't noticed, there's a lot of deep level stupidity going around. Who do I blame? Well, I think I blame a lot of forces at work. Larger, broad social forces. Social forces which have been fascinating, liberating, and in the 1990s we assumed we're going to bring about this world of liberated, free information, bring down tyrants, democratize the world, democratize information. It was a beautiful dream, and we expected there would be great payoffs. In many ways there have been significant payoffs for people using the internet. If you are a real power user of searching and learning, the internet can be a wonderful place to learn. However, the internet has also brought the standard of, we would say, the standard of epistemology, the standard of verifying and validating information has gone down exponentially. So pretty much any stupid crap that is well enough produced or is vigorously enough promoted in the internet and the social media has a kind of force that it never had before. What we didn't realize was that the editors, the filters, the people who decided what had some modicum of quality or sanity and or simply presentability, and put that in our media, well, that group has been weakened a lot, and now we just have an onslaught, a tsunami of the weirdest, craziest stuff. For example, I personally was an eyewitness, and I had an unobstructed view of the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapsing. So I really was watching it closely and carefully from a perfect perspective on a very, very clear day. And I saw how the World Trade Center collapsed. I watched the dynamics of it collapsing. And one thing that I heard a few reports, but really nobody mentioned, unless you really saw it, you were really there and really looking at it, was that right before the World Trade Center collapsed, it started vibrating. It was vibrating like a tuning fork would vibrate, and it started to vibrate so rapidly that it actually started to blur a little bit, like the outline blurred. And I was truly amazed, because it started, I just saw this thing, this vibration start appearing out of nowhere. There was just fire pouring out of one side of it, and I was far enough back, I was about a mile north to see the total thing. And it just starts vibrating. This low frequency, but this powerful vibration goes through it. And it was very strange, because I had no mental preparation. I had no mental model. I had nothing in my brain contained the category, what is this an example of? Nothing in my brain contained an example of a very large, stable, engineered structure suddenly vibrating like a completely different type of substance. So it vibrated for about a second or a second and a half, and then it just started collapsing from the top down. It was I remember watching the top of the building kind of dissolve or melt, and then the whole thing gained speed as it's accelerating down and collapse. But what I did not see, and I was watching it very closely, I saw no evidence or anything that would appear to be planted explosives or any kind of deliberate demolition, as I've watched many buildings come down through controlled implosive demolitions. And I've watched that on many of those shows where they have show large famous buildings coming down, or storage tanks coming in, and there's a definite look. You can see the little puffs going off, and there's just, you hear the sound, the whole thing. It's not a silent process. You can't implode a building quietly. So there I was, and I saw it come down. There was none of that stuff that had anything to do with controlled implosions. It just seemed to be a resonant, some kind of strange resonant property of the building that suddenly was like a bridge, that, like Galloping Gertie, the bridge, I think in the Tacoma Narrows, that just suddenly vibrated itself apart. Anyway, so I saw this, and many other people saw it, and we had to live our lives and went on our way. And I was amazed somewhat thereafter, these people who were presenting themselves as authorities and saying that they knew how it came down. And there was some nut professor, I think coming out of Denver or Boulder or somewhere out there, was saying he knew, and he was on Sean Hannity's show, and he didn't say he thought or he believed or he had some idea of how he knew how it came down. He says, I don't think, I know. And I thought, that's pretty good that you know. Now, how is it that you know? By what means do you know? What is your process of knowing? You know, especially if you're 1 or 2 or 3 removed from being a personal, physical, material witness to the thing, how do you know? And how do you know if that information that you have is solid, credible information? You know, is stuff that would be admissible as evidence under the watchful eye of a judge in a court of law. I am amazed by the amount of stuff people insist is true, especially things that in the political realm. They get into these various political forums and dialogues and various believers and counter-believers and unbelievers of various things, and they speak with such certainty. How do they know? What makes them so sure that's true? What gives them the confidence to say to express these things as settled fact, as weighed, measured, photographed, studied fact that a number of people could attest to the truth of? Got me. Okay, well, what is that? Okay, what is that an example of? Let's park that thought. What are we talking about? We're talking about epistemology, okay? Everything I've been discussing and that whole thing about the World Trade Center is, in the point I'm making is we are talking about epistemology. We are talking about how you know, how you know what you know is so, or to what level of certainty you know what you know, to what level of certainty or to what level of a definiteness do your opinions really hold up. I will speak more on that, but that will be the intro to epistemology. We will be talking a little bit about epistemology, how you know what you know, what makes you so damn sure you know what you know, why do you believe it, what does it mean to believe something. Epistemology, gotta have it.